welcome to the first ever and the first of hopefully many Three Moons audio podcasts.
Yeah.
My name's Gavin. I'm here with my partners in crime, Jordan and Audrey.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Audrey.
You know, good. Don't assume gender roles, kids. So yeah, this is we're doing this, and we're gonna see what kind of trouble we can get into. We really wanted to do this podcast and as an introductory platform, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
Most people can't see your hands, so it's okay.
Cool. Yeah, but they'll just see a mic.
Do a little
stand
Ricky
move everywhere.
Bobby.
Where do I put my feet? Yes.
We wanted to use this podcast as an introductory platform to introduce this company that we started, to introduce ourselves, so you can get to know us, get to love us, and appreciate everything we do. So first off, you know, the big question is, what or who is Three Moons Audio? Three Moons Audio is...
What could it possibly be?
What could it be? What's the name? What's in a name, right?
We've seen the cryptic Instagram post.
Yeah,
Yes.
the single post.
So many coming soon posts. What
I
is
know,
that?
yeah. Watch this space. Well, Three Moons Audio can really be summed up by our mission statement, which is a safe space to share your passion.
Yeah.
We want to record and produce and engineer awesome stuff, and we want you, the artist, to feel empowered and encouraged and in a place to where you can just be yourself and express everything that you want to create. And the three
And
of
not
us,
feel any like judgment or any free
Yes.
space.
free
Yeah.
space, yeah, totally. You know, and it's we're obviously hate-free, and we try to be very tolerant as well. So ultimately that sums up what we want to do. We can, we'll explain who we are individually as well, because we're three very different people with very different backgrounds that have come together with a common goal and a common interest to do something awesome.
Yeah.
Simply put. So why a podcast on top of starting a business?
Yes,
like
Gavin,
this?
why?
Why? Pourquoi? You might ask. We want to use this as a platform to connect. We want to connect with other engineers. We want to connect with our peers, with novices, with experienced people, other people that are, in the recording industry, that, make up something, whether it's someone who makes really cool gear or, a really cool artist or something like that. We want to just have this as a platform to connect with listeners of any and all type that might have a fleeting interest in audio engineering and production and all this crazy stuff, or with people that are just completely consumed with it. We just want to be, a place where we can talk about stuff.
Also, so we're not complete strangers to any potential clients.
Yeah.
Just really as a way to get us to know us and our personalities.
Yeah.
Because we're all quite charming. Ding.
Insert sound effect here.
Insert sound effect here. Yeah. So I'm going to check my notes because I lost my train of thought.
No worries. Well, I'll talk about myself really quick. I'm
Please
Jordan
do.
Smith. I'm an engineer and producer for Three Moons. And I went to music school, and I've been doing music kind of my whole life. And so I really got into recording from an early age, and then I really started pursuing it in college when I worked for the studio at my school, which is really fun. And so now I'm with Three Moons, and we're going to see what happens and where this goes. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm Audrey Lowell. I also started recording from a young age. I was recording on my stepdad's 2-track tape machine when I was like 6, and I had my own little one-person band called the Ladybugs.
Nice.
And I don't know why it was plural, but yeah. And then in high school, I started doing live sound, and I was a choir kid, so I was always setting up
Ooh.
for our shows.
Me too, yeah.
Yep. And from there, I went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences and found my way here.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where is here, by the way, for the folks at home?
Here would be the lovely Robert Lang Studios in Shoreline, Washington.
Nice plug there. You're welcome, Bob. Okay.
We'll assume that the check is in the mail.
Yeah.
Yes.
My name's Gavin Olson. I am originally from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now I'm up in sunny Washington State. Like a lot of people, I started as a musician. I started playing drums when I was 11. Had big dreams of being a punk rock star, which shouldn't be a thing. But naturally that didn't work out. And then through various bands that I played with, I got more and more interested in how stuff was recorded. I remember my earliest recordings were in a garage where I hung up a very, very crappy microphone over like the track thing of the garage door, and those were my very first demos that I recorded with my friend Mark. We had a song called Bruce Wayne, which was essentially the '60s Batman theme, like kind of in reverse.
Nice.
And kind of palm muted. I don't know. It worked out.
It was a hit.
It was a hit amongst he and I.
It was
me
a
and
banger.
him. It was a banger. Yeah. There were riffs. They were good. And in playing in bands, we recorded various ways, just in bedrooms, in professional studios, and all were really cool learning experiences. And just came to a point where I wanted to learn how to do it myself and do it really well and stop guessing. And so I started taking some courses at Edmonds Community College and wanted a more aggressive path, and ended up here at Robert Lang and met these two wonderful people, and the rest will hopefully be wonderful, wonderful history.
All right.
More finger guns.
That was almost made me cry.
good.
Before we go on further, I just want to say I've personally never done a podcast before. I don't know about you guys.
Neither
but-
have I.
I have done one podcast before.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
Audrey Lowell,
So- I guess
we're just gonna
podcast
leave.
legend.
Watch out. It was on Rainy Dogs Radio for UW.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
Wow.
Yes.
Look at you.
I'm going to look that up later.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Very informative.
I was a star. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Well, that's us in a nutshell. No, this is me in a nutshell. Really what we want to do and how we want to set up this podcast, the general flow, is we'll have different talking points. It'll be, we'll have, we all have our own kind of hot takes or, spicy opinions on the recording industry and how stuff should or shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, everyone's got an opinion. We want to hear them all. Let's argue about them. Let's raise our fists and have some fun conversation.
Well, because one thing that we always talk about, and you'll probably hear it from us a lot, is like in the audio world, it always depends.
It depends.
Always
It-
depends.
it depends.
It's literally like our secondary motto is it
I'm going to
depends.
get it tattooed on my forehead.
It depends. It effing
Just so I can just
depends.
lift my bangs every time somebody asks me a question, and I'm like, it depends.
But you'll always sometimes you'll go online, at least I look and like people are very opinionated, and I always just want to write like, yes, but there's this other thing, and it's like it always just depends. So I think kind of what you were saying is like we want to show like different viewpoints and different perspectives, and hopefully we can have some different guests on this podcast. It'd be cool to share
Absolutely.
to share their ideas and their
That's our big goal.
opinions.
Yeah, we have one guest lined up. I don't want to spoil it, but he's very eager. He's someone in the audio engineering community, and he's based out of Nashville, and that's all I'm going to say about it, but I'm really excited.
I don't actually know who he's talking about, so I'm
I
excited.
don't know, but I'm very
It's
excited.
pretty cool. Yeah, he's an upstart as well. So
Cool.
So we've got and hopefully we've got a few other people that we're thinking about. you
Yeah,
know.
some musicians, some artists. Maybe we'll try to get the studio owner of the studio to come on our podcast. That could be fun.
Bob's got stories.
Yeah,
He's got
Bob's
some
got some stories.
Bob's got stories.
And some high end engineers that have won some Grammys. Maybe we could get some of those guys on this podcast.
Yeah.
We'll
I think
see.
we could manage that.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
Um,
Can twist some arms.
yeah. Cool.
Another big topic that I think anybody who's into audio engineering or music is gear. Oh man,
Yep.
we dream about it, we fantasize about it, we lust for
Just scroll through
reverb,
for hours.
just drooling. It's bad. But we want to have some cool gear conversations. talk about stuff that we've used, stuff that we'd like to use, both new and old. There's all these new plugins that simulate old EQs and old preamps, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we can kind of do some more shootouts and share, like we established, our spicy opinions about them.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, opinions. They're opinions. We're open for any sort of debate. I think we're all very open people. So
Most days.
Feel free to comment on our opinions. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, you can.
Most
totally
people
call us
that will
out.
comment on our opinions will say that they are wrong. So
Yes, and we're prepared.
we're prepared.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Our bodies are ready.
Yeah. Well, what's next?
What is next?
Do you want to go into the next topic?
I think I do. And our next topic, I almost said cockpit.
Well,
Because-
control room's kind of like a cockpit.
It kind of is,
That's what we're in right now, if you're listening.
I think I've just got Top Gun on my mind. Apparently, there's a sequel coming out. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
heard about that. I'm
mean,
excited.
Kenny Loggins revival,
Yes.
on it.
I'm down.
I'm so down. I'm
I'm
ready
embarrassed
for
to say I've never seen Top Gun.
Well, guess what you're going to
Get
do,
ready.
Audrey?
Yeah.
You're on a highway to the danger zone. Okay. So obviously you can see, we're kind of doing the thing where we're videotaping ourselves, recording a podcast, because that seems to be the trendy thing to do, and we're riding the coattails of what seems to be the thing to do in social media.
Yeah, and if you're listening, this podcast will also be on YouTube, I believe, or on our website at threemoonsaudio.com. So
You can see our beautiful faces
see
for the
our
entire
beautiful
length of this
faces.
podcast.
That was a smooth plug, Jordan.
thank you.
Well
I
done.
tried. I'm the guy with the plugs.
Yeah.
today.
I think that you're,
I'm the plug
the
guy.
smooth
Yeah.
transitions.
Yeah. Jordan is just on it with the segues and plugs. So yeah, you can see here, we are in a pretty fancy looking control room. Behind us is a solid state logic duality SE board.
And speaking of opinions, we've got some hot
We've got
opinions.
some opinions on this board. In fact, it seems like everybody who comes in this room does have a hot opinion on this
Everyone
board.
has an opinion, and
Yeah.
honestly, my opinion is probably different than your opinions. So
Yes.
and that's totally fine. That's what we're all about. So
Yeah. But yeah, we've got some opinions on this board. It looks awesome.
it looks
It
great.
looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's cool. It does some things really well. And like most equipment, it probably doesn't do things the way you want them to, or you would like it to do things better.
It's
But-
kind of part of the risk of having a digital board.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Well,
anything digital.
analog, digital. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Well, that will be probably multiple podcasts. worth of stuff.
Or a 3-part
that's
podcast.
that's the never-ending debate is analog versus digital.
Yeah, we'll just have a
Yes.
5-minute segment every single podcast.
Yeah.
about the
Dedicated
Yeah.
to analog versus digital.
One day, one of us will be like, "I love doing stuff digitally," and the next day is like, "Nah, analog all the way, brother."
tape every day.
But why? Why use something like this? Why come into a studio and drop your hard-earned money to record on this board, or in the big room downstairs at Robert Lang Studio, with an older SSL analog board?
G-series, yeah.
G series.
4,000.
4,000.
4,000.
So why not just use Logic and MIDI plugins?
Who uses Logic?
You
Just
do,
kidding.
Jordan.
I use Logic.
I started out on GarageBand. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I started out on Audacity,
Oh wow.
and then I went
You
on
have
to
the
GarageBand.
audacity to-
I know,
I'm
right?
Just kidding. That was a horrible.
Listen,
joke.
I started out on the Windows Sound Recorder.
Oh, okay.
You win.
Yeah, yeah,
Old school here.
yeah.
Okay.
You guys don't know pain.
Nope.
Yeah, I started out on Audacity when I was like 14. I downloaded it.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was not user friendly. I think I gave up after like a week and a half.
Nice.
And then I went on to GarageBand because then I thought that you had to pay for like GarageBand, and then I realized that no, it was on my laptop the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And changed my life.
actually though, yeah.
Yeah, and
For
then I
reals.
went on to Logic, and then to Pro Tools.
See, Gavin. See.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that'll be another heated.
Another thing.
What?
I'm
do-
not-
what
I'm not
dog?
Yeah, we'll talk about,
Anti-Logic, I
we'll
just
talk
can't
about
really do
DAWs
it.
for an
Yeah.
entire
Yeah.
podcast too. I mean, we could get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why record in a studio though? That's a good question. I think.
Someone does a lot of the work for you.
Another way to
Yes.
look at our beautiful faces in person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can't get enough of this. I'm sorry for the people that are just listening because they can't
they can't appreciate.
No.
We're just oozing with finesse.
Seriously,
and
threemoonsaudio.com. Watch the video.
Watch the video.
Watch the
It's
video.
hot.
Look at our profile
If
pictures.
anything, go for it to look at us.
It's steamy, kids.
No, but recording studio, I got some opinions. I don't know about your opinions.
Let's
but
hear your opinions.
Let's hear my opinions. I mean, for one, there's the expertise of hiring somebody to do the work because they've been in the field. Some of these people have been in the field for 30, 40 years, and they really know what's up. They know how to get something that sounds good.
Absolutely.
And that's not to say, like, you'll hear some engineers, and this is just my opinion, but you'll hear some engineers that say, like, you can only record in the studio, and this is the only way you can do it. Like, definitely that's not true, at least in my opinion. You can record at home too, but, like, at the studio, you're getting that expertise and that experience. And that's honestly, like, for me, that's one of the biggest reasons why you go to a studio, other than, like, they have amazing gear, some gear that you could never afford on your own. Like, one microphone's like 10 grand or something, you know? But I think for me, those are the two main things, but especially just the experience of the engineer.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I would say those things, especially the gear. I mean, you're going to find, especially if you're trying to go for like an analog side of things, gear wise, there's nothing like going to a studio. And especially just the history of the gear is really cool. I really think of it as like for the experience. Like I would recommend it just for the experience of like hearing those stories, being in a place that has produced, you know, records that you might find inspiring, even if it's a smaller studio, just being somewhere also where you know that like you are the priority, you are the number one, they're there to serve you. I mean, I say this all the time, but recording is a customer service industry.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
And if you're recording at home, like Jordan said, you're doing all the work for yourself, which is great. You have complete control, but you have to realize that in a studio, you also have complete control. You're the boss.
Yeah. Totally.
And yeah, I would say just for the experience of recording in a studio and having it feels like a luxury. I mean, you're literally waited on, you know, people will get you food, people will get you your water, like they're there to serve you. And I think that there's kind of nothing like it.
Within reason.
With it, yeah.
Yes, within reason. But
well, I would say I feel like the good engineers are like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's engineers. I've never met one, but I'm sure there's engineers that aren't like that.
I've met them.
Okay, that's what I figured, but I didn't want to.
But I would just like to point out that they're no longer here.
Okay, cool.
So like, you know,
No longer in
So we're
the
good.
business.
in the
as they
business,
say.
yeah. So
Yeah. But if they're a good engineer, I mean, like she was saying, like they're there to serve you. It's not you're not serving their ego. They're there to serve you, kind of thing, you know. So it's
Exactly. They want to be. The engineer is going to want to bring out the artist's best work, and then the artist is going to want to be, you know, feel comfortable and not want to hold back, because those are the good, you know, those are the good recordings. Those are the legendary recordings. Those are the Abbey Road sessions. Those are the, you know, Led Zeppelin 4 sessions, you know, like of where you're just kind of like, let's just do this. Let's get weird. Let's put our drums in a stairwell and get, you know, and a good engineer is going to want to do that, is going to take the time to like, okay, you know, we could do this, you know, we could mic your drums a very straightforward way, or we could spend an extra hour and really optimize and get a unique, cool sound that's going to sound like, you know, your band or your drums or whatever.
And that's something you wouldn't necessarily be able to do at home. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Especially if you're limited.
Unless,
Like,
unless you have the
another-
space or...
Another great part is having a completely unbiased third opinion.
ooh, yeah.
That's another really big thing. I mean, if you're working at home, then that means that you're working with your bandmates or your friends, and you know, it's something completely different to have a total outsider's perspective on your project.
Right.
And for them to be able to collaborate with you on that, and to maybe tell you like, oh, you're going into your too much zone, or just to hold you back.
It's a very mental
a filter.
game, where you're just kind of like, am I
Yeah.
overanalyzing it? Is this good enough? Is good enough good enough?
Also, like if you're I don't know, you know, how many of our listeners do home record, but you get to a certain point where you're working on something and you just go into this weird tunnel vision where like it just enters this realm of like nothing sounds right. Why like just scrap it all? Whereas like if you come into a studio, you're having like, you know, you're working on multiple songs, you're working with somebody else, they're able to have that mindset of like bringing you back to the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Totally.
So
I'm of the thought of you can get some really good sounding recordings at home. You know,
Totally, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for
but
sure.
it's never gonna sound as good as a studio.
Especially if you're at a studio like this that has such like, you know, that room downstairs is so special. You know, you
Yeah,
have the
it's such a
marble
vibe. Yeah.
marble floors, the stone walls, really, really unbelievably high ceilings. I mean, there's nothing that sounds like that room, and there's nothing that sounds like our natural echo chamber, and there's nothing that sounds like, you know, our
Right.
ISO booths, and each ISO booth has its own sound. And I mean, it's so unique, and every studio is gonna give you options that you wouldn't have at home.
Right. Unless your home is a studio, but that's
Yes.
Basement
Then
is
good
pretty
for
dope.
you.
for you. Can I have your life?
Yeah. Do you want to
Um,
share?
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. Those are great points.
I'd like to touch more on the experience too, because it should
Ooh, yeah.
be exciting. Walking into a studio
Oh,
shouldn't
yeah.
be intimidating. It should be
It should feel like your birthday.
yeah, it should be inspiring, you know, because you have all of these mics that are just, you know, made of unobtainium, and, you know, just a big board with all the buttons and switches, and that's why I like being an engineer, is because I like pushing buttons and twisting knobs, and it's just satisfying to like twist it the right way and then something sound awesome. It's a very analog experience.
And there
Right.
is something so inspiring about just being somewhere where you know that so many other musicians have recorded.
Yeah.
And like, you know that
True.
they felt inspired there. And it just like, I've had so many people come up to me and just be like, this place has an amazing energy. Like, you can just feel the inspiration.
You can't manufacture vibe. Like,
Yeah, for
it's-
sure.
It
Totally.
takes sweat and smoke and frustration to like just permeate the walls and the space to know what, you know, Chris Cornell felt or Kurt Cobain felt or
Dave Matthews.
Dave Matthews or the dudes from Death Cab.
Death Cab, yeah.
You know
Alan
that.
Stone.
Yeah, that just put just ridiculous amount of work and effort to make stuff that's seminal. That is going to live forever.
Yeah.
That is a time capsule of the area and of a generation.
Yeah, and I think it's the motto of the studio is it's all about the vibe, right?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
the studio motto. And I think that's so true. Like when you're recording at home, I don't know, for me it's hard to create in a box, and sometimes kind of like what you were saying about Audrey, what you were saying about the tunnel vision thing is like sometimes you like get into this box and I almost need people around me to like get out of that box and kind of like let's just like not think about your song for 20 minutes. Let's just talk about like, you know,
Cats.
or something.
Yeah, let's just talk
and,
about
like,
what you ate for dinner last night.
Exactly, just to clear your mind because you get so focused on and nitpicky on little things, and like I'm such a perfectionist. Like I need like that's what's so awesome about this experience is you could just have people to like hang around with. You know?
I think my whole thing too is that like because I know what it's like to record in a studio, I get really frustrated at home and I'm like, oh, I know how this could sound. Like
Oh, yeah.
this could sound so much better if I just had this microphone in this room rather than
Just
my
need
microphone in my room.
10
Yeah.
grand's worth of equipment real quick. And
Yeah. Like I think it sucks to say that like money does produce better quality, but like
yes, for the most part.
it does.
Yeah.
Unless you're going for a lo-fi sound, but even when you're going for that lo-fi sound, having it produced well is
Exactly.
a totally different experience and sound than just a home recording.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to my first point about like just the experience of the engineers, because like really you could, if you just had like SM57s and that was all you use, you could get a killer sounding record.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure.
But
I mean, look
you-
at Sylvia Massey.
Yeah, exactly. But you need to have that experience and knowledge and know-how on how to do that. And if most people, I would say, probably don't know how to do that necessarily. I don't
I
know.
mean, we're still figuring it
We're
out.
still figuring it out. So
I think everyone's still kind of always figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's no record is perfect, believe it or not. No song is perfect.
I was told at school that the perfect song, like the best mixed song of all time, was Daft Punk's "Get Lucky," and I was like, "That's an opinion, right there."
that's a hot take.
That is
Yeah.
a very hot take.
I was like, "Wow, that was strong opinion."
Should have them on the podcast.
Yeah, right. Just to talk about that because that's stuck in my mind. Obviously, in the last 2 years that I've been in this business,
Yeah.
all I can think of is like, Really? That was the best mix song ever.
Yeah,
That's all you got?
interesting.
That they like that was something that they taught to us. Like it wasn't even just like here's a hot opinion. It was like they played that song for us and they were like,
This is what you must
All
strive
right.
for.
this is it.
Be Daft Punk and get lucky.
Yes.
I will say, because we are bashing a lot on like home studio recording, there are some benefits to home studio recording, especially like if you're doing like pre-production on an album.
Oh, of
For
course.
sure.
Like I've been doing pre-production on this album that we'll probably talk about later on a different podcast, but it's been really nice to be able to just be at home and just work on it. And it's cheaper to do it that way. So then when you get into the studio, like we know what we're going to do.
And I highly recommend pre-production. I've been asked this a lot recently by local musicians that have just been asking about like, ultimately I want to get into a studio. What should I do? And I'm like,
Be
always
prepared.
be prepared. And I tell them, I was like, I had a session where a guy came in super, super prepared and we were able to get 16 songs done in 2 days. Because he came in knowing his stuff. It only took him like 3 takes to get through things.
Right.
And like it was solid. And you can get a lot done, which isn't to say that you should put that sort of pressure on yourself to get 16 songs in 2 days, but pre-production's important.
But yeah, have a realistic idea of
'Cause
what you want to do, and like, okay, my punk band is doing 5 songs, and like make sure that those 5 songs are ready to go. I know that's not the most punk rock thing to be prepared and to give a care.
Nice.
I'm trying not to
Good
swear,
save.
kids. I promise I'll try not to swear too much.
We'll have the bleep button ready
Yes,
just over here.
But yeah, that's how you get the best bang for your buck too, is being
Yes.
prepared.
Yeah,
Just
I
like,
mean, and
totally.
it's also, it's just like you start to feel bad as an engineer for those people who come in and aren't prepared because you can tell that they start to get stressed out. And then it's no longer that happy, wonderful experience that we were talking about. It
Yeah.
becomes this like stressful, rushed feeling where people are like,
I only have 2 hours.
I only have 2 hours left and we only got 3 songs done and it's been 3 days. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, you didn't practice at all.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry, but
you spent 2 days learning how to play the
Yeah,
guitar.
like I'm doing my part. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you're not paying for rehearsal time essentially. Like don't what yeah.
yeah, that's a great way to put it. That was like short and sweet.
Yeah.
You're not paying for rehearsal time.
This is to come in and do a
I
thing.
think it's good that we're talking about money because it's such a taboo subject and
But it's
polite.
such a big part of this industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely get what you pay for. So it's, if anything, hopefully we can provide advice on how to put your money.
use it effectively.
Yeah, use it
Yeah,
effectively.
'cause
Obviously, we're
we're-
not going to give you investment tips or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, hey,
Yeah, we're not scared to talk about money
Yeah.
and any of that
money, please.
stuff. Money, please.
Parks and Rec.
Sick reference.
Great show.
Yeah, show of the week goes to Parks and Rec.
This turns into a TV show podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those are all good points. Final thoughts, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think home recording is great. I think it's really important as a musician to kind of have a basic understanding of the recording process and how it goes.
Yeah.
And doing that at home is a great way to learn that, just so that you can come in and you understand like what an XLR is.
Yeah.
Or even just what Pro Tools is or what any sort of DAW is. Just so that, I don't know, I think it's important. And I think it creates a better workflow between you and your engineer.
Yeah.
So definitely don't not home record. That is not what we're saying.
I mean, that's how we all got started.
Absolutely.
As you heard at
Oh,
the
yeah.
beginning, like, so
I still do it. I'm lucky enough to have, a downstairs basement. Most basements are downstairs, unless you have an upstairs basement,
that would be
which
interesting.
I hear they call an attic.
Yeah, I've heard
Crazy.
of those.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd like to be in the room for that when they decided, like, what if we had a basement, but upstairs?
Upstairs.
So yeah, I flesh out a lot of ideas and I send them to, people that I'm working with.
I do a lot of home recordings, even just putting my microphone in my closet, surrounded by my clothes. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, there we go. That's soundproofing.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good ISO booth right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Perfect.
I've used couch pillows to make an ISO booth.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw
Worked
that.
great.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was great.
It was a proud day.
But yeah, there's nothing quite like coming into a studio and having that professional level of care and
experience.
Experience.
And, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a good engineer is going to care. They will absolutely, and I'm going to swear right now, but they will absolutely give a shit. Thank you.
Yeah.
About what you're working on
Yeah.
and what you want to do, because they are going to want it to sound good.
And they will
It's-
treat every project like it's special,
Exactly,
which,
and
like we said earlier, is our mission statement.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
we want to do.
Your projects are our projects.
Yes.
So yeah,
Agreed.
agreed. A grizzle. So, I think that's it. You know, I think we generalized a lot of things, and I think it's cool because we will be able to go a lot more in depth as we progress, as we gain experience, as we get more work to do. Hopefully, we can share experiences. Our own experiences. Hopefully, people that we work with, hopefully they'll be willing to share their experiences as well about coming into a studio. We're very, very, very lucky to be able to operate out of Robert Lang Studios.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of stuff here that is awesome. Some really cool sounding rooms, some really good sounding boards and equipment. But it's not limited to just here. There's some other great places in the Seattle area, like my basement. That sounded really creepy. I'm really regretting saying that. I'm sorry.
That was great. And your
Man.
attic too?
What?
Yeah, I heard your attic.
I heard your attic is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have your artist of the week?
I
picked out?
do.
I
wanna
do
go?
too.
Go for it.
Go, Audrey.
Hit us with it. Your
Okay,
hot
so
take.
my artist of the week is kind of a throwback. They are not currently a band.
Oh, okay.
So kind of.
You are a
Woo.
Portland hipster, aren't you?
I know.
Wow.
Well, I've been.
This band isn't even a band anymore.
Well, I thought it would be really fitting to have my first band of the week be the band that really got me into music.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Because until this point, I listened to the White Stripes and Nirvana and stuff, but this was the band that opened my mind to music and whoa.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They're called Rilo Kiley.
Okay.
They were formed in 1998. And I just learned today, actually, when I looked them up, that their first album ever was recorded here in Seattle,
Oh wow.
which is pretty cool. But they're an alternative indie rock band that's totally inspired by prog rock.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really great. They're really fun. They have some cool punk rock influences to them too. And I think that they're pretty I'm trying to think of user friendly. I think most people would enjoy easy listening almost, but not
Gotcha.
You
easy
definitely
listening.
hear them in a coffee shop
You
somewhere.
would definitely hear them in a coffee shop. Definitely. Everybody knows Portions for Foxes. Portion for Foxes. That was on the radio for a really long time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, Rilo Kiley. Highly recommend. It's fronted by Jenny Lewis, who now has a solo career. She just toured with Beck a couple years ago. And she's based out of Nashville now. But yeah, Rilo Kiley.
You know what we should do? Maybe we already talked about this. We should set up a playlist.
Yeah, a Spotify
Yes.
playlist.
And we'll start putting. I don't know if it'll be out by the time this podcast is out, but we'll definitely start. That'll be
adding
something.
songs from our favorite.
Yeah, and we'll start adding it so you can kind of get a taste of what we all like. It's gonna be very eclectic. I'll just put that disclaimer up now. But
Yeah.
honestly,
The three of us have very different tastes.
Yeah.
Which is part of what makes us so great.
Yes. I can go while Gavin's fiddling over there. No, you're
Fiddling in my basement.
that didn't sound right. I actually changed mine. Originally, I was going to do someone else who I think you know. But my artist today is Jacob Collier. And do you guys know who he is?
No.
No? Okay.
That name
So
sounds familiar.
he is literally a musical prodigy. He's 24, so he's the same age as me. And he was born in London. And his genres, he's one of those people that literally can write any genre possible. And sometimes within a song, it will go between 10 different genres. And it's almost too much to handle kind of thing. But he mainly does jazz, funk, and a cappella music. He's really famous on YouTube for Meet the Flintstones. He does a cover of Flintstones, and it's him, and there's he's one of those videos where it's 5 heads, and he does all the parts, that sort of thing. but he's just a musical genius. Like he's given master classes at some of like the top music schools in the world, like at 20 years old, basically. So he's one of those kind of people. And he's just really inspiring. And side note, he also uses Logic. So another throw out. But yeah, he was doing a project, one of his album that just came out, Volume 1. He has a song on there. And literally the song, between 3 different sessions, he had over 700 tracks for this one song.
Oh yeah, you did tell us about it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that guy. And
That's
and it's not like fluff, and it's not like, do you really need all those? It's like, no, they're all like serving a purpose, and it just blows my mind. He had to consolidate it to one session because there's a track limit in Logic. But yeah, it's just his music's mind blowing. It's kind of avant garde and kind of weird and out there. But if you're in that mood, then go for it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. My artist of the week is, I don't know why I'm trying to build suspense.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
just trying to think of how to like preface
This
this.
is really good.
I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite bands right now, and a band that I find really inspiring. There's a band from the Bay Area called Heart Sounds. They're a really cool like melodic punk rock band. They've got riffs, some of my favorite riffs. It's like heavy and fast and good, and that's just stuff that just really gets me pumped. Their last album came out in 2017, and it was a song, and it was 17 minutes. So they kind of went, if you're familiar with the Decline by NoFX, although the singer for the band, Ben Murray, would not want to be compared to NoFX. And this is just a band that I listen to all the time. I was really impressed with them doing one. If I would listen to it, it's an epic. There's movements to the song, like it's a production, and it's really really cool. And I've seen them play it live all the way through. They toured on it, and they did a few songs, and then they did the whole damn song right at the end, and it was really crazy. And the singer for the band, his name's Ben Murray. Has a couple other bands going on, and he's kind of working on being, from what I gather, I'm a bit of a fanboy, is working on being a self-made person. He has his own record label. He, writes and records for 4 bands right now. He produces and engineers other stuff too, and I just find him as an inspiring person. He's also very, transparent about just his life in general, and cool. He's just kind of like, man, this is a cool dude. He does a lot of cool stuff, and I am in and have been in a point where it's kind of cool to see someone doing something like, I want to do that, and I want to do the stuff I want to do and not be told what I have to do. And it's like, this dude is doing stuff on his terms, and I just find that really inspiring. And he's like, I'm gonna make I make punk rock songs, and I'm gonna make a really long one, and I'm gonna release it, and it's gonna be cool. And he did it, and it was awesome, and his band is awesome, and so you should definitely check out Heart Sounds. They have 4 albums out. Their last one, Dualistic Nihilistic, is a banger.
All right.
Amazing.
That was a hot take. Nice. Well, let's get our individual plugs out of the way. Before we do that, I thought it'd be cool, since we're an audio engineering kind of podcast, to talk about the mics that we're using. So I am currently talking into a RE20, the radio mic.
Beautiful radio voice.
Thank you.
I am talking into the classic SM7.
Yes.
Beautiful. For those of you who are not watching, I'm modeling the microphone.
Vanna Whiting.
Vanna Whiting.
And I too am using an Electro Voice RE20. It's pretty neat.
It does a thing, as Gavin
It
likes
works
to say.
on voices.
It does a thing.
Yeah, cool. So my plugs, or our plugs, first off, 3moonsaudio.com, in case you forgot. 3 Moons Audio on Instagram, and 3 Moons Audio on Facebook. We'll also have a YouTube channel
And
as
the
well.
3 is just the number 3.
Yes.
Number 3 moons.
Number 3, not spelled out.
Yeah.
And then we'll also have our podcast. Hopefully we'll have it on all major platforms.
We'll figure that out when we get there.
We're getting there. And yeah, and then my individual Instagram is Jordan C. Smitty is my Instagram.
I am at Odd Records, AUDRECORDS.
And I am at 3 Moons Gavin. Number 3 Moons Gavin on Instagram. Yeah.
Come find us, say hello, message us,
Follow us.
follow us. We'd love to hear from you. Even if you don't want to record with us, that's really cool. We just want to get to know you. And if you have a band or somebody you want us to check out,
Or
please
any
do.
questions about the recording industry, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're to the point where we know a few things. And like these microphones, we can do a few things. And
Yeah,
we can do
it's
them
almost
quite
like
well.
we do them for a living.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, so thanks for sticking around if you're still listening or watching for the kids at home. Yeah, we're 3 Moons Audio. We hope to do some more of these in the future.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Watch this space.
Bye.